Hello. Welcome to Gentle Yoga. I'm Jeani, your guide for the next hour. We're here at the community room, ACC's community room. And just hopefully for the next hour, we'll be focusing on yoga that'll help us with osteoporosis. Now, yoga is something I've been using in this last year for my own journey through arthritis and menopause. And one of the things that I've also taught in my classes, just as a yoga instructor, is just how yoga can be used as a way of keeping the body flexible, supple. If you have arthritis, osteoporosis, you can have the benefits of yoga kind of acting as a maintenance, kind of allowing you to feel the body's current situation with the help of each of these poses. So I'd like to share with you that probably about 2 months ago, it was very difficult for me to walk. The arthritis in my hips, I had been using canes. And just as much as I disliked going through the motions of our gentle sun salutations, it's just the motions of going through there, keeping the joints supple, well lubricated, that really has helped me in this last year of significant change. So one of the things you might be noticing with our rainy weather here in Sacramento is the joints just getting a little stiffer, a little more sore. So something to think about as you're moving through your days. If you notice that there's a big weather change and your body responds, doing something, a light movement regimen might help you to keep those body parts just simply moving and well lubricated. And that really helped me, let me tell you. So just having shared that, we'll move through this class as we usually do, starting at the back of the mat. And we'll begin this practice today by simply arriving, noticing how the body is feeling. How it feels, the mat under the feet, how the legs are supporting you, how the breath is moving through the nose with each inhale and each exhale. As you begin to quiet down, we'll start to bring our breath and our cultivation of the Ujjayi breath into play. Let's go ahead and bring our left palm to rest on the chest, right palm underneath the belly. And with the next few breath cycles, we'll start to focus in on the inhale as it's entering the lungs, filling up the lungs. The shoulders may lift at the top of the inhale. As you begin your exhales with a little more control, help to expel the air, help to push that air out of the body. Gently press the belly hand in towards the spine and engage the core. And as you find that rhythm in the breath, the inhales and exhales, pauses in between, the length of the breath cycle becomes more akin to a wave. Bringing in the sound of the wave to the back of the throat. You can find yourself floating on the ocean breath. Let's go ahead and bring our hands down to our sides. Now that we're more connected to the Ujjayi breath, lifting the feet, toes, heels, getting your mountain resituated. Let's inhale, bringing energy, drawing it upwards, up through to the top of the head. And then exhaling, feeling the energy release, reverse direction, back down the body to the mat, to the earth. With the next slow inhale, we'll start to tip our weight towards the toes. See if you can use your entire breath, the inhale, to reach the edge of that tipping point. And then use the exhale to start slowly shifting the weight towards the heels. And again, another shifting right there at the edge. And as you get the heel to toe mapping at our foundation, we'll meet back at center, somewhere at the top of the ankles, dropping into our mountain. Inhale, lengthening, lifting up through the crown of the head, and then exhaling over to the right side of the feet. Inhale all the way back up. Exhale to the other side for a 3-part breath from side to side. Inhaling up, exhaling over to each side. Once you get that horizontal mapping, we'll meet at the top, back at center, situating into our mountain, lifting once more. Inhale, nice and tall. Start making small circles in one direction. Smaller circles radiating out into larger circles, finding that edge, and tightening in the circles, returning to mountain. Dropping in, inhaling to reset, and making small circles once more in the opposite direction. One more trip around this orbit, this path, but in a different direction. And then making our way back to mountain. Once that's settled, lift the feet once more, reset our mountain. We'll move into slight oiling, lubrication of our ankles, our hips. And you can widen your stance a little bit. Toes might be a little pivoted outwards. And all we're going to do is start shifting from side to side with the torso. As you find more of a turn, you can lift the ball of the foot and pivot on the heel. We don't want to torque out our knee. We want the chest to be in that same direction as we lift the ball of the foot when we turn. And if you can coordinate that with just allowing the arms to sort of sway on their own with the momentum of you turning from side to side, you'll allow hopefully the body to just release and relax softly, slowly on its own. And then we'll return back to mountain, to home base, and let the energy peter out and reset once more. Inhaling nice and tall. As we work our way up the body, the pelvic bowl tilts forward, under, and forward just slightly so we can get more of our joints stacked on top of each other. So the ankles underneath the knees, knees underneath the hips, and the hips underneath the shoulders. Take another deep inhale, lifting the shoulders up, and then exhale, roll them back and let them melt down the back. See if you can tuck in the bottom points of the shoulder blades into the mid-back at the bottom of the exhale. A total of 4 of these. Use your ocean breath to help facilitate that release in the shoulders. Each inhale is a lengthening. Each exhale is just the release. Hopefully you're feeling in the shoulders, maybe even a rooting as the body is stable and supported. One long column of support. But the next round, let's go ahead and inhale. Up goes the shoulders, but this time roll them forward and down with the exhale. Still tucking the points into the mid-back at the bottom of the exhale. Lengthening, bringing in as much energy as you can through the breath. And exhaling to find release. And then we'll go ahead and make our way up to the top. One more deep inhale. Resetting the mountain, feeling lifted at the crown of the head. Let's go ahead and exhale. Allow the ear to drop towards the right shoulder. Inhaling, the chest lifts. Exhaling, turn the gaze. Next 3 breaths. Hopefully you'll find release in the left side of your neck all the way to the eyeballs. Palms forward facing to help keep the shoulders sternly rotated and space between the ears and the shoulders. After your very last exhale, inhale, bring the eyes, the gaze, the head completely back up. And then exhale over to the other side. All the major joints from the shoulders down are in line. And each breath is expanding the body with energy, with air. Hopefully reaching all points of the body. So on the exhale, you can release any hidden tension, any activation that doesn't need to occur. After the very last exhale, we'll inhale the eyes, the head, the crown of the head completely towards the ceiling, and allow the eyes to float downward. Rest the gaze at the top of the mat and breathe for the next 4 breath cycles. Shoulders nice and soft, arms relaxed at the side. Imagine drawing the energy from the earth through the legs, through the spine, through the neck, through the crown of the head. After your very last exhale, inhale the eyes back towards the midline, past the midline, looking upwards till we can see relatively above us. Stop craning the neck and allow the next 3 to 4 breath cycles to help open up the mouth, the tongue, the throat, and any leftover tension. Sometimes it can just be so tight there. Allow yourself to breathe. After the very last breath, let the eyes guide you back to the midline, to home base. And then here, give yourself a little bounce at the knees. Shake off any residual tension. I'm just going to lower this a little bit here. And as we come into our modified sun salutations, we'll start with our forward folds. So in our mountain, feet are hips distance apart. Keep the knees gently bent if you need, but we're straightening them as we move along. Let's go ahead and energize the fingers downward. Inhale, extend the arms above us as we're still reaching. At the top, we'll inhale long. Exhale, engage the core and start to fold. Hinging at the hips, walking the hands down if you need, or just letting it float down. See if you can just breathe for the next 5 breath cycles to allow the release in the lower back, in the spine, in the neck. See if you can let go of the head.
Bobble the head gently. And then see if you can just release everything in the torso, in the upper body, while everything in the lower body from the hips down to the heels. Keep you nice and supported. And take about 5 full deep breath cycles. Sometimes we might have that deep breath somewhere in the middle, just letting you know your nervous system is helping you to release. You can always deeply bend the knees, then straighten one knee gently to your ability, then alternately straighten the other one at a time. And then we'll come back to our fold. We're now in a ragdoll fold at this stage. So to come out, we're going to come up slowly, start to engage the core, gently press into the feet, firm up the legs, start to straighten up the back. You can even walk the hands up if you need. But engaging the core, feeling the strength of your column of support to help bring the body back upright. Give yourself a breath or two. Let the blood rush back to the head. One more fold. We're going to energize fingers downward. Inhale, extend the arms upwards. At the top, maybe even lift up with the torso, lengthening. Engage the core. Start to hinge at the hips and fold. Float on down. A little shorter fold this time, about 3 breath cycles. You can start to sway the hips. You can alternately bend one knee and then the other with a little more length this time. See how the body feels. One more deep inhale. One more deep exhale. Then we're going to come up to a half lift. Start to lengthen through the legs if you can. Keep the bend if you need to, though. Lengthen from the tailbone, down the spine, neck, to the crown of the head. Wherever you're touching, whether it's the mat, the ankles, the shins, maybe forearms to the thighs, just lengthen the upper body. And then exhale. Allow the chest, arms to release back towards the fold. And then inhale, engage the core. Step into the feet. Start to slowly roll up or engage with a big breath, long back, all the way back up to mountain. Hands above head, prayer hands down, heart center, and we'll begin our walking meditation. Inhale, right foot lifts. Exhale, right foot down. Inhale, left foot lifts. Exhale, left foot down. And as we take one full breath cycle per step, we'll meet at the top of the mat. Slow walking meditation. And at the top of the mat, looking down at the fingertips. Inhale, press into the palms, watch the fingertips rise. Separate at the top, hinge at the hips, engage the core, and fold. Come on down. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, lengthen through the back. Exhale, fold. Place the hands at either side of the feet. Step a right foot back and a left foot. If you have to take a couple steps, that's okay. Inhale, shoulders go over the wrists. Bring the knees down. And come on down to your modified high plank. If you're too far forward, which it feels like to me, you can lift up the knees, tucking the toes, lift up the knees, and just scoot a little back. Not on the kneecaps, but with the feet. Feel that nice long length from the shoulders all the way down to the palms, fingers, and palms flattening as you're able to. And then inhale, tuck the toes, lift up the hips, and press into the arms to extend and bring the hips back to the back of the mat for your down dog. Keeping 5 good deep breath cycles for your down dog. Go ahead and walk your dog, bending one knee and then the other. You can explore the apex of your upside down V. Rolling to the tips of the toes and then slowly exhaling to lower the heels toward the mat. See where they land. And if the ears are somewhere in between the upper arms, that's a good spot. We're working towards a nice long back from the hips down to the hands and a nice long leg from the hips down to the heels while our hips are lifting upwards. One more deep inhale. Look towards the hands with the eyes and walk the hands to the back of the mat, to the back where the fold, and fully exhaled. We're going to inhale for a half lift, lengthen, exhale, fold, and then engage the core. Step into your feet, firm up the legs, and come on up. Straight back or slow roll up. Exhale, hands down, heart center. One more walking meditation. Inhale, pressing into the palms for stability. Exhale, the right foot down. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale, the heel, ball of foot, and toes down. And at the top of the mat, looking down at the fingertips, press into the palms. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, separate the palms and hinge at the hips. Engage the core. Float on down to your fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Step a long right leg back and left leg. Inhale, long high plank. Hips are nice and high above the hypotenuse of this triangle shape. Bringing the heels to the crown of the head in one nice long line. One more deep inhale, lift up the hips. Exhale, press into the arms for your down dog. Shifting once more. Couple of breaths here. And when you're ready, inhale, look to the hands. And walk the hands on the exhale to the back of the mat, to your fold. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come on up, your choice. Strong core. Exhaling hands, down heart center, and down to the sides. We'll go ahead and rest here for a moment. And as we move into our balancing poses, before we do that, you can take a quick water break if you'd like. But let's see, for today's balance, we're going to start with our tree and then move into chair. And there are ways of enhancing our tree, facilitating our tree with a block. So I encourage you, if you have difficulty in finding balance with tree, use a block in this demonstration. If you just know your tree and you like it the way it is, go ahead and we can start with one foot. I'm going to place my block on the hard linoleum. If you have issues of balance with your feet and you notice a great deal of wobbliness, might be you have a really thick pile of carpet, could be that we need to have a thinner mat, could be that you just need to be on a hard floor. So don't be afraid to get onto a hard floor to do your tree if you need to, as I demonstrated by putting it on linoleum. But having a nice hard block can also help you if you just step onto it. And I'm stepping with my right foot, and I'm finding that balance. I'm finding the balance on the one leg without jutting out this hip. And if you bend the knee to get on and off, it's going to help you. You don't want to shear your hips. Now stepping into the tree, we're just wanting this nice vertical line on this leg that's on the block. The toes might be hanging over the edge some. But theoretically, once we find that nice stacked position of the knee over the ankle, over the hip, we should be able to just lift up the left foot. Keep it nice and flat. And then you can keep the left toes down if you need to play with your balance. Now again, keep the left toes down,
bend your knee as you're coming down off the block to help with the issue of balance. Now, if that works for you, then you get to have this nice stacked feeling here. We're going to try the tree once more, but this time without the block. And this time I encourage you from mountain, feel as if you're stepping onto that block. Just engage the glute, stack the knee above the ankle without feeling as if you're pushing out on that hip. You want, again, shoulder above the hip, above the knee, above the ankle. So that nice long column of support. And then you should theoretically be able to lift up this left heel, externally rotate left hip, and then walk the left ankle to rest, left heel to rest on the right ankle. And from there, hopefully you're finding this nice vertical column of support in the body. With the arms, we can bring them into prayer and feeling the core engaged once you make contact in prayer hands. And just breathing from there. Being careful not to hyperextend the right knee. Breathing. One last breath cycle. And then we can go ahead and release the hands. Turn the left hip internally so you can bring the left heel down. And then go ahead and shake out any residual activation of muscles in this right side of your body. Your glutes, your quads. So kicking forward to help release, kicking off to the same side before you cross the midline, before you cross over to the opposite side. And that'll hopefully just release anything that was just still tight. Sometimes that happens. And we'll go then to the other side. I'll start with the block again since I started that with the right side. You're welcome to just go as you please. So standing in our mountain and then coming into stacking, bringing the weight into the left side of the body. Feeling the left toes just creeping over the edge of the block if you're using it. Other than that, you're just maintaining, finding that sense of support. Joints are stacked one on top of the other. And when you've got that long support, you might be able to, if you're on the block, lift up on the right foot, flatten it out, or just use the toes to help you stay balanced as you're strengthening the support of the left side of the body. We'll go ahead and keep your right toes on the floor and bend the left knee so you can help yourself release from the block if you're on the block. If not, just release from your tree. And we'll give ourselves another counter stretch, a couple bounces, whatever feels good. And we'll do one more for the left side. I'll be back on the mat this time. Inhaling nice and tall in our mountain. Let's go ahead and bring standing weight to the left side of our body once more. This time without the block for me. And as you're finding that column of support, once that's established, go ahead and lift the right heel. Externally rotate the right hip and walk the right heel to the left ankle. Find your stability. Grow out your branches if you'd like, or keep them at the heart center. And then breathe 3 breath cycles. Engaged core. Just breathing a slow ocean breath. And when you're done with your very last exhale, bring the hands down, internally rotating the right hip, releasing the right foot, getting that balance, and then releasing any residual activation on the left side, kicking forward, kicking to that side, the left side, before you cross the midline. And these are just to help the body release. Sometimes it's still holding on. And as we move into the next balance pose, this is chair we're moving into. We can also use our block here. I suggest keeping a block on its flat side, somewhere off to the side, off the mat. And what we can do is, I'm going to come off of the mat and show you our first way of moving into chair. Feet are about hips distance apart. It's about the length of a block, maybe a little wider. Keep a deep bend and then gradually come into your mountain so you can feel that alignment. You should feel more of the center of column, your column of support, more towards the back of the heels, somewhere at the top of the ankles. And as we're here now, hopefully you can feel your shoulders just stacked right above the hips. Now, one thing you can do is just start to engage the core, press into the feet, firm up the thighs, and start to just simply bend the knees so that the hips just slightly lower. You'll feel the glutes engage, you'll feel the inner thighs engage. As soon as you feel that, you are in chair. You can make it a deep chair. I have to put my arms out to help balance. Or you can keep it a slight chair. It's almost as if you're about to sit down or you're about to completely stand up from a chair. But you're finding that the muscles needed to sit down and get up from a chair are engaged when you're in this version of yoga chair. Let's go ahead and inhale nice and tall, lengthening through the legs. Return to our mountain. Feel that column of support shift right back where all the joints are stacked, one on top of each other. Once more here. Take another deep breath. All right. One more deep inhale. Feel that string at the crown of the head lifting. And then exhale, bend the knees so that your hips just drop a couple inches right where you are. We're going to inhale, bring the arms up at an angle, and hopefully you find this angle of the hands sort of in line with the hips, more of a diagonal. So as we're doing this, hopefully you're feeling more of the inner thighs, you're feeling the weight more towards the heels. We're going to just shift a little more towards the heels once more. And then let's inhale and start to creep up onto the balls of the feet. And then lower the heels, lift, straighten the legs, bring down the arms. Take another deep breath. And then we're going to step our left heel onto this block. And once more, we're going to inhale, arms come up. Exhale, just bend down. Feel the left thigh, the left quad is activated. We're going to tilt forward and bring the right heel up and walk the right heel onto the block. And now hopefully you've got the heels on the block and you're feeling hopefully that center of gravity still here in the hips, right above the heels. Let's inhale to straighten the legs, walk forward off the blocks and bring those hands down. Now it's a little challenging. You're feeling hopefully a lot of engagement around the hips and you're feeling how your center of gravity changes when you go from a mountain position to a chair position, helping us to find that balance as we change, as we transition through there. And we got a little workout on those seat muscles that we need to use as we lift up or sit into a chair. And then we're going to come down to our hands and knees for our tabletop position. So bringing some sort of cushion, like a folded blanket, somewhere to support the shins and come on down as safely as you can. I can do a forward fold sometimes. Sometimes it feels very nice to do a squat and get a nice stretchy stretch right before I move in. In here, if you need to have your mat rolled up a little bit, it can help with softening the cushioning right underneath the heels of the palms if you need. You might have to readjust the padding for your shins if that's the case. But we just want to get comfortable on our shins and the palms of our hands. And we're getting ready to lift alternate limbs. So as our right arm is going to be extended out in front of us at about shoulder level, we're just going to move the left leg long, right on to the toes, just like that. So give yourself a nice neutral back and then engage the core with the next inhale. And then exhale, lift the right hand, lift the left knee. If that's feeling good, like you've got a good balance there, go ahead and extend through the right arm and bring the toes of the left toes to the mat. Engage the core, draw that belly button to the spine. See if you can still maintain that balance in our tabletop position. And then bring the right hand down, bring the left shin down, and readjust your tabletop once more. Might feel good to shift a little weight from one shin to the other. Might be good to shift the weight in the wrists by shaking out the wrists. And then one more time, but now it's the left arm that will go up and the right knee that will lift. Possibly right leg lengthen. So one more deep inhale, engage the core, lift the left hand, lift the right knee, get your balance. If your balance is there, then you can extend through those limbs. Engage the core. Take another deep inhale, another deep exhale, and then bring the left hand and right shin back. We'll go ahead and just shift the hips. If you need a block to bring the hips to rest on, go ahead and do that. But we're just going to shift hips to heels and just sort of relax the shoulders. It's your best version of child's pose. It's my best version of child's pose. So we're just trying to counter stretch and relax. And then we'll bring the hands back to the mat. Walk the hands closer to the body once more. And we're just going to bring the hands out in front and come on down, one elbow at a time, onto the belly. And give yourself that time to appreciate being supported by the earth. Hopefully my mic won't be smothered here, but giving yourself that chance to rest the back of the hand underneath the brow line. You can pillow both hands. You could just give yourself a side face turn. If you're on the face turn, you do want to press into the chest gently and the belly, pelvic area, when you turn the gaze to the other side. And it's just a nice deep breath or two here. And press into the chest once more. Bring the face back to center. Bring the forearms back to the mat. And we're going to start to walk the fingers upwards so we can draw ourselves into a Sphinx position. So just give yourself a moment here. It's not too high up. We're looking down, keeping the neck nice and long. The hands might be tented, but hopefully we're not dumping too much weight into the elbow. We're using a lot of the forearms, just like our shins for our legs. We're using these flat parts of our limbs to help support the body. Once you're there, go ahead and notice how the feet, how the legs, how your backside is feeling. If you have tension in the glutes, see if you can release that. If the toes are curled, see if you can just tap them out and then let them release. We're just wanting to relax lower body and only use those muscles needed to keep the torso propped up on the elbow, forearm, kickstand like this. And just breathe. Let the belly be soft. Don't let the shoulders cave in towards the spine or the neck or the ears. You want to keep them nice and wide. Slightly protracting the shoulders, just engaging it enough to keep it from collapsing. Take one more deep inhale. One more deep exhale. And you can slide the elbows outward, start to pivot the palms inward, and let the brow rest on the hands, on the back of the hands. Taking a breath or two here. Let's bring out the arms. The mouth, chin will gently rest on the mat. And the palms hopefully are facing down. If they can't be at a T, you can keep them lower. You can keep them at maybe a 15-degree angle away from the body. But all we're going to do here is just take your next deep inhale and feel like you're lengthening through the arms and the legs while they're still on the floor. You're just lengthening with that inhale, getting long, feeling like a starfish, just stretching out. And then exhale, release. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, lengthen along the floor. See if your knees might just lift up a little bit. We're not going to hyperextend the knees, but just extend through the legs, activate the legs, nice long points in the arms, and then lift up the hands and feet. See if you can keep everything activated, nice and long, with just the hands and the feet lifted. And then exhale, let everything just lower, and then turn the gaze. If your shoulder on the side that your face is turned to, if that shoulder is lifted, see if you can exhale and have it just melt into the mat. A gentle press into the chest, into the belly to turn the gaze once more to the other side. See if this right side shoulder is lifted. See if an exhale can help you release the shoulder back to the mat. You can turn the palms up. Back of the hands can rest on the mat. And then we're going to inhale, press into the chest. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. And go ahead and find your way onto your back. You can either extend through the one side of the body and roll over. You can tuck the toes for a reverse push-up. However, you make your way onto the back. Just find a nice, comfortable position. Legs together or feet pointed towards the corners of the mat. And as you just savor that time on the mat, just double check this one, I believe. Yes. We'll have one more nice spinal twist. In keeping the bridge shape, arms are out to the side. We're going into a figure four. So inhale, lift the left foot, sternly rotate the left hip, and then just allow the next few breath cycles to see where your left ankle can land. Either on the lower thigh, maybe it'll just be here perched on top of the knee. But we want to have a general sort of half of a figure four. We're going to keep this right foot on the mat, and then place a right hand on this right hip. Notice if it's curling upwards. Are you balanced on your sacrum, or do you feel like your sacrum is leaning to one side or the other? You can actually rock from side to side to help you better identify that center. But see if you can get a balanced sacrum to just rest with not too much space above. See if you can flatten out that space right at the lower back, and then that's, I guess, sort of like tilting the pelvic bowl forward and back as opposed to side to side. So once more, if you're forward and back rolling, find center, And then hopefully you find that nice, supported, balanced support at the back of the pelvic bowl. Keep your blocks nearby. And if you enjoy the deep windshield wipe with a landing point for your foot, having the block nearby, high, low, medium setting, what you like. Take the next breath, make sure that you're aligned in the spine and the neck. Exhale, just feel nice and relaxed. And then we can inhale, press into the arms to help bring the knees to one side, to the right. And eventually you might find your foot lands where that block is. Hopefully the left hip area is getting a nice stretch in the back of the pelvic as well as the front of that left side of the pelvic area. If you want a deeper stretch, you might change the setting, but we're just rolling on to the right edge of the right foot. You may find yourself eventually touching down. Just depends on the state of your hips, how limber or how tight you are. But hopefully you're finding that deep stretch all the way from the left palm through the left arm, inner armpit, intercostal rib cage, those side ab muscles, everything in the pelvic bowl to help you flex. All that is getting a nice stretch as well as the glutes. And it's just simply holding here. It takes us about 3 breath cycles to find that first edge. And then in this cool down portion of our practice, 5 deep breath cycles once that edge has been found. Connecting to the ocean breath. Notice if you're holding on to tension where you don't need it. And then the last breath cycle or 2, even a turn of the gaze or orientation of the palm can help. After your very last exhale, let's go ahead and bring the eyes back in line with the chest. Bringing the hands, palms back onto the mat. We're going to use our hands to help guide the legs back into the bridge position. If you need that, you might need one arm out while the other arm helps, and the right foot is helping to launch the hips back onto the mat. But as you roll back into your base figure 4 bridge position, we're going to inhale, internally rotate the left hip while we lift up this left heel and release it. Back towards our base bridge. Let the left foot land. And once your sacrum is supported nice and evenly, bring out the palms, extend the arms to either side, and just give yourself a nice long, slow windshield wipe to one side. If that's feeling okay, we're keeping the feet where they are, just rolling to the left side of the feet, left edge of the feet. And then we can inhale, bring the knees back up to center, sacrum is nice and flat on the mat. And once you go to the other side for one last round, make sure the spine and neck is aligned and you're in your base bridge position. We can inhale the right foot up when you're ready, sternly rotating the right hip, seeing where the right ankle lands on the left lower thigh, knee, base. Give yourself about 3 breath cycles. You want to make sure we're not tilted on the back of the sacrum. You can bring the left hand to gently rest on your left hip. That'll help to hopefully keep that grounded. You can even draw the fingertips of the right hand across the pelvic area and then rest both hands on both hips. Right hand on right hip, left hip
with the left hand. See if that helps you to find center, and also rock from side to side and forward and back. Once you've found that sweet spot, I'm going to bring out the hands to either side of us and inhale. Start to turn to the left. Now we're windshield wiping to the opposite side. You have your landing block. You like gravity to help you release. We're just turning to the left side now, giving ourselves that space and the time. Notice any differences on this side. Takes about 3 breath cycles to find that edge. And once you're there, the 5 deep breath cycles in line with the ocean. And when you're done, your very last breath, use your hands to help roll, guide the knees and the back onto the mat, back to center. And once the sacrum is back, neck and spine is aligned, we'll go ahead and internally rotate the right hip as we lift up the right ankle. Start to bring that right foot back onto the mat. Find your base bridge, find the alignment of the spine and the neck. Extend the arms, palms down, and give yourself one last deep windshield wipe to the left. Inhale to bring the knees back up. You can exhale slowly, softly over to the other side. Guide your hands, guide the thighs back up with your hands if you need. And let's come into Shavasana. Prepare by just simply lengthening through the legs. You can make any movement that feels good. Maybe a gentle overhead stretch of the arms. Maybe it's a gentle tapping of the knees. Maybe it's a gentle rocking while you're in base bridge. Glute massage. Whatever your last moments before we move into Shavasana. I'll sit upright to mind the time. For the next 5 minutes, just allow the body to respond to today's practice. And you'll hear the 3 bells to awaken.
bringing the mind back to the body. Take note of sounds outside the room, sounds within the room, and finally back to the breath. As the air enters the nose, and as the air exits the nose, feel the body and spirit reunite. Make any movement that feels good to enhance that connection. You can rock, you can wiggle the fingers and toes. We'll meet in upright seated position and end class today with our breath of fire exercise. Breath of fire is an exercise that has so many benefits. It strengthens the abdominal core. It enables you to kind of heat up the internal furnace. There's a it's like a density that you're cultivating with this breath as well. So in light of our class design, focusing on the theme of exercises to help us with our osteoporosis, the breath of fire hopefully will help us to become a little more dense, a little more balanced, and just, solid, giving us that ability to check into the furnace and keep the body moving. So the internal circulation moving. So let's go ahead and feel in your upright seated position, you have an even balance of the sits bones. If you need to have blocks underneath the knees to help support you, go ahead. But all we're going to think about is sitting up nice and tall on our sits bones. The spine is upright, sitting right in that pelvic bowl. So if you find you're needing to pitch forward and back a little bit, rocking on the pelvic bowl to find that center, go ahead and do so. And then we want to find as if we're just tilting under that pelvic bowl just a little bit so we can have a nice tall back. Go ahead and inhale deeply. We feel this energy as if the lungs are nice and filled up here, and the core is engaged. It's bringing the belly button right to the spine. And as we have that inhale, holding the energy there, we're going to shoot out the exhale through pursed lips, pumping the belly with our abdominal muscles like a bellows. So I'll go ahead and bring out my hand, hopefully to keep our count, but we'll do 10 slowly. The last one will be a slow exhale where we lift up the perineal floor, hold our breath, tuck in the chin. So we're kind of locking in this energy from the root all the way to the throat. And we'll be holding that for about 3 to 5 seconds. You can always exhale sooner if you need to. But that's for the first round. We'll do the same thing on a second round. So beginning now, we'll go ahead and inhale deeply. Hold it up there. Feel as if your diaphragm is keeping everything nice and tight. The abdominals are engaged. And we'll go ahead and shoot it out for a count of 10. Fully exhaled here. Hold your breath. And then release. Release the hold at the root, the chin lock, and just breathe. Let everything flow. And then one more round. Inhaling deeply. Exhale. Fully exhaled here. Hold the breath. And release the breath. Go ahead and release the hold at the root, at the chin. And if you feel a little tingling at the mouth, that is normal. But you'll get your bearings back here if you felt a little lightheaded. Taking a nice deep breath. Let's go ahead and bring our hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me here at the ACC's Community Room for Gentle Yoga at 2 p.m. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. Thank you.